are staring at a radar screen in the dead of night, somewhere off the coast of Brittany, France. It is February 2026, and the Atlantic is a churning black void that swallows sound and light alike. But there, on the glowing green sweep of the French naval monitor, a ghost appears. It has no AIS signal. It has no registered name. It is a 300-meter-long void in the ocean's data stream, moving with a heavy, rhythmic pulse that defies international law. This is the Grinch, an aging Aframax tanker that, according to official records, should have been scrapped in a Bangladeshi shipyard 3 years ago. Yet, here it is, riding low in the water, its belly swollen with 2 million barrels of dark, crude oil, worth a king's ransom on the black market. The French Navy's intervention was not just a routine inspection. It was a surgical strike against a phantom, as the commandos fast-roped from helicopters onto the oil-slicked deck. They didn't find a professional crew with valid certifications. They found a skeleton crew of desperate men, navigating with outdated charts and GPS-spoofing devices that made the ship appear to be anchored in the Persian Gulf, while it was actually skirting the European coastline. This single vessel is the tip of a colossal, rusted spear. We are talking about the Shadow Fleet, a ghost navy of nearly 1,400 vessels that now handles over 10% of the world's oil. They operate without insurance, without sovereign oversight, and under the flags of convenience that change faster than the tides. Imagine a fleet so large it could bridge the English Channel, yet it exists entirely off the books. These are not just ships. They are ticking environmental time bombs. Most are over 20 years old, their hulls thinned by corrosion, their engines held together by prayers and pirated spare parts. They bypass every safety regulation known to man to keep the gears of sanctioned economies turning. When the Grinch was boarded, the inspectors found something even more chilling than the oil: a labyrinth of shell company documents linking a nondescript office in Dubai to a series of mailboxes in the Marshall Islands. The scale of this operation is staggering. Every day, these rust buckets perform dark ship-to-ship transfers in the middle of the ocean, moving millions of gallons of volatile cargo while their transponders are silenced. It is a high-stakes game of shadows where the players are invisible and the risks are planetary. If just one of these ancient giants cracks open, the resulting spill would dwarf the Exxon Valdez, and there would be no one to sue, no one to hold accountable, and no insurance to pay for the cleanup. We are witnessing the birth of a lawless ocean, a place where the Leviathans of the 21st century are not creatures of myth, but steel behemoths forged in the fires of geopolitical necessity. As we peel back the layers of the Grinch's ownership, we realize that this isn't just about oil. It's about a global network of ghost owners who have built a sovereign nation on the waves, a nation that answers to no one and possesses a fleet larger than most national navies. The hunt for the Shadow Fleet has begun, and the secrets buried in their rusted holds are about to change everything we know about global power. You are following a trail of digital breadcrumbs that leads away from the rusted steel of the Atlantic and into the air-conditioned silence of a glass and marble skyscraper in Dubai. This is where the Grinch is truly steered, not by a captain's wheel, but by a series of keyboard clicks in an office that technically doesn't exist. When the French authorities began peeling back the layers of ownership, they didn't find a shipping magnate. They found a one-ship company. This is a classic tactic of the Shadow Fleet. Every single vessel is its own legal entity, a tiny island of liability designed to sink the moment a lawyer tries to board it. If the Grinch causes a massive oil spill, the parent company simply vanishes, leaving behind nothing but an empty bank account in a tax haven and a mailbox in the Marshall Islands that hasn't been checked in 3 years. The logistics of this ghost navy are a masterpiece of modern corruption. Imagine a billion-dollar empire built on flags of convenience. Countries like Panama, Liberia, or the Cook Islands, which sell their sovereignty for a fee, allowing ships to operate with zero oversight. But the Shadow Fleet takes it further. They use zombie flags, registering ships to nations that have no maritime authority, or using falsified certificates from defunct registries. Behind these flags is a network of shadowy intermediaries who handle the dark financing. Money moves through Hawala systems and crypto wallets, bypassing the SWIFT banking network entirely. It's a parallel financial universe where millions of dollars in oil revenue are laundered through luxury real estate, gold bars, and untraceable offshore trusts. But why does the world allow this? Because the Shadow Fleet is the secret engine of the global economy. While politicians give speeches about sanctions, these ships are the ones keeping the lights on in countries that shouldn't be able to trade. They are the necessary evil in a fractured geopolitical landscape. In the dark corners of global ports, we see the physical evidence of this hidden wealth. Nondescript warehouses filled with high-end spare parts that are smuggled onto the tankers during midnight transfers. The men who run these fleets are modern-day corsairs, protected by layers of diplomatic immunity and corporate fog. They don't wear eye patches. They wear bespoke Italian suits and operate from penthouses overlooking the Persian Gulf. As the investigation into the Grinch deepens, the scale of the deception becomes terrifying. It's not just one ship or one fleet. It's an entire ecosystem of maritime lawlessness. We are looking at a ghost navy that has its own insurance providers, its own classification societies, and its own private security forces. They have built a world within a world, a place where the law of the sea is replaced by the law of the highest bidder. The paper trail for the Grinch eventually leads to a single, nondescript door in a coastal town in Cyprus. Inside, there are no computers, no staff, just a stack of dusty ledgers and a telephone that never rings. The owners of the Shadow Fleet are ghosts, and ghosts don't pay for oil spills, and they certainly don't go to jail. You are looking at a map of the world, and you no longer see trade routes. You see a massive, rusting circulatory system on the verge of a fatal rupture. These vessels, like the Grinch, are not just ships. They are 20-year-old steel tombs, held together by nothing but layers of cheap paint and desperate hope, operating without insurance, without salvage plans, and without a shred of accountability. They traverse the world's most fragile ecosystems, carrying toxic cargo that no legitimate player would dare touch. If a disaster strikes, there is no phone number to call. There is no corporation to hold liable in a court of law. There is only a black, encroaching tide that swallows everything in its path. This is the true price of the Shadow Fleet. While billions accumulate in offshore accounts, a clock is ticking beneath the waves. Speculation suggests that the next great ecological catastrophe won't be the result of a single error, but of pure, calculated neglect. A ghost ship, simply snapping in two under its own weight because its hull was thinned by decades of salt and lies. The Leviathan Files team has uncovered that this network is only growing, feeding off global instability like a parasite. We have created a monster we can no longer control. A steel Leviathan hiding behind the masks of 1,000 shell companies. When the sun sets over the next oil slick, remember that it wasn't an accident. It was a plan. It was a calculated risk where we were all the stakes. The truth about the Shadow Fleet is that we are all its passengers, even if we have never set foot on their rusted decks. Subscribe to Leviathan Files. Stay curious, and remember, the truth remains.